It usually happens without you noticing. The lights are off, the room is quiet, your breathing slows, and at some point during the night, your dog moves. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a small shift, a reposition, closer to you, near your legs, beside the bed, at the door, or somewhere between you and the rest of the house. And while you're asleep, completely unaware of what's happening, your dog is not fully asleep the way you think they are. They're listening, tracking, noticing, sometimes lifting their head at small sounds, sometimes adjusting when you move, sometimes placing themselves in a position that seems intentional, almost like they're watching, almost like they're guarding. Most people don't think much about this. They assume it's comfort, warmth, habit, or just coincidence. But if you've ever woken up and found your dog positioned in a way that feels protective, or noticed they seem more alert at night than during the day, you may have already asked the question, is my dog guarding me while I sleep? And if they are, why? Because from a human perspective, it doesn't quite make sense. Your home is safe. There are no real threats, no predators, no danger outside the door. So why would your dog act like there is? The answer begins with something most people overlook. Sleep is one of the most vulnerable states any animal can enter. When an animal sleeps, awareness drops, reaction time slows, defense becomes limited. In the wild, that vulnerability is real, which is why many animals don't sleep deeply for long periods unless they feel secure. Dogs may live in modern homes now, but their nervous system didn't evolve in a world with locked doors and alarm systems. It evolved in environments where awareness mattered, where group members relied on each other, where one individual resting meant another might remain partially alert. So even though your dog has never faced a predator in your living room, their brain still carries patterns from a world where nighttime awareness had value. And that's where this behavior begins, not as a conscious decision to protect you in the human sense, but as a pattern of positioning, awareness, and attachment shaped over time. When your dog chooses where to sleep, that choice is rarely random. They could sleep anywhere, another room, their bed, a corner, a couch. But many dogs consistently choose positions that give them both proximity to you and awareness of the environment. Near the door, facing the hallway, between you and the entrance, at the foot of the bed where they can monitor movement. These positions aren't always about dominance. They're not about control in the way people often assume. They're about access to information. From that position, your dog can sense changes, hear sounds, smell movement, detect shifts before they reach you. It's a strategic place to rest, close enough to you to maintain connection, far enough to observe the environment. And that balance matters, because your dog doesn't experience the night the way you do. To you, darkness means sleep. To your dog, it's just a change in sensory conditions. Smells travel differently, sounds carry further, movements become more noticeable. And because your dog's hearing and smell are far more sensitive than yours, the nighttime environment may actually contain more information than the day, which means your dog isn't imagining things. They are perceiving things you simply don't notice. A distant sound, a faint movement, a subtle change in the house. So when they lift their head or shift position at night, it may not be random. They're responding to real input. And over time, if those responses go unchallenged, the pattern continues. But awareness alone doesn't explain why they stay near you. That's where attachment comes in. For many dogs, you are the most stable part of their environment. You represent routine, safety, predictability, and emotional grounding. During the day, that connection shows up in following behavior, eye contact, proximity. At night, it shows up differently, not through movement, but through positioning, staying close, maintaining contact, remaining within range. Because even while you sleep, your presence still matters. It signals stability, so your dog stays near it. But here's where it gets interesting. Some dogs don't just stay near you. They orient themselves in a way that suggests monitoring, facing outward, alert to the room, reacting to small changes. These dogs are not necessarily guarding in a trained protection sense. They are displaying a mix of environmental awareness and social attachment. They are staying connected to you while also staying aware of everything else. And in many cases, that behavior is completely normal. It doesn't mean your dog thinks danger is imminent. It means their system is active, responsive, observant. There's also a difference between calm awareness and heightened vigilance. A dog that rests, occasionally lifts their head, and then relaxes again is operating in a balanced state. A dog that cannot settle, reacts to every sound, paces, or remains tense may be experiencing something else. Anxiety, over-alertness, difficulty relaxing. And that distinction matters, because what looks like guarding can sometimes be discomfort. A dog that feels the need to monitor constantly may not feel fully secure. So context is everything. Is your dog relaxed, loose body, slow breathing, able to fall back asleep easily? Or are they tense, quick to react, unable to settle, always on edge? Same behavior on the surface, very different internal state. There's also something else happening that many people never consider. Your dog is monitoring you too. Your breathing, your movement, your sounds. Dogs are incredibly sensitive to patterns. They learn what normal looks like, and when something changes, they notice. If you shift suddenly, if your breathing changes, if you make unusual sounds, some dogs respond immediately. They lift their head, they move closer, they check. Not because they understand exactly what's happening, but because something is different, and difference triggers attention. This is why some dogs seem to wake up before you do, or adjust position when you move, or come closer when you're restless. They're not reading your thoughts, they're reading your patterns, and responding to changes. Over time, this can look like protection, like your dog is watching over you. And in a way, they are. Not with a human concept of guarding, but with a system built around awareness and connection. There's also a physical component. Dogs often position themselves based on comfort and temperature, near your body heat, near soft surfaces, in places that feel secure. Sometimes what looks like guarding is partially about comfort, but when comfort and awareness overlap, the behavior becomes more noticeable. Now consider the dogs that choose the doorway, or the hallway, or the space between rooms. These positions offer a wider sensory field. From there, your dog can detect movement from multiple directions. It's not about controlling the space, it's about perceiving it. And if your dog repeatedly chooses that location, it suggests they prefer access to information while resting. Again, not necessarily guarding in the human sense, but certainly not random. Then there are dogs that physically touch you while sleeping, pressed against your legs, resting on your feet, curled behind your back. That contact serves a different function: connection, reassurance, regulation. It tells your dog, you are here, nothing has changed, everything is stable, and that reduces the need for constant monitoring, because proximity itself becomes calming. So depending on where your dog sleeps, you can often understand what they prioritize: information or contact, awareness or reassurance. Some dogs balance both, moving between positions during the night, checking the environment, then returning to you. A cycle of awareness and connection. Now let's address something important. Some people interpret this behavior as dominance, as if the dog is claiming territory or control. But in most cases, that explanation doesn't hold up. Positioning near you at night is rarely about hierarchy. It's about attachment and environment. Misinterpreting it can lead to unnecessary correction. And correction, in this context, can create confusion, because the dog is not trying to challenge you. They're responding to internal patterns that feel normal to them. There are, however, situations where nighttime behavior becomes problematic. If your dog becomes overly reactive to normal sounds, barks excessively, cannot settle, blocks movement, or shows signs of stress, that may indicate an imbalance, not protection, but anxiety. In those cases, helping your dog feel safe and relaxed becomes more important than encouraging the behavior, because true security allows rest, and rest is the goal. Another situation to watch is sudden change. If your dog has always slept calmly and suddenly becomes highly alert at night, pay attention. Changes in environment, new sounds, health issues, stress, aging, cognitive changes, all of these can affect nighttime behavior. Dogs don't always express change dramatically. Sometimes they express it through subtle shifts in routine, where they sleep, how often they move, how easily they settle. So if something changes, it's worth noticing, not assuming, just observing, because patterns tell the story. So the next time you go to sleep and your dog settles somewhere nearby, don't assume it's random. Don't assume it's just comfort. Don't assume nothing is happening. They may be doing exactly what their system was designed to do. Stay connected, stay aware, stay ready. Not because your home is dangerous, but because that's how their brain understands the night. And somewhere between instinct and attachment, they chose to stay near you. If this changed the way you see your dog, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. Where does your dog sleep? Right next to you? At the foot of the bed? Or near the door? And if your dog stares at you before falling asleep, the psychology behind that behavior is even deeper than you think.